Okay, let's see what happens. This is absolutely unbelievable. Artificial intelligence is here and it's going to change a lot of fields of work. Architecture is one of them. If you like technology and you work in architecture, stay tuned because this is for you. Great, so let's begin with some context. Probably many of you don't know exactly what is artificial intelligence, how it works, and how it's affecting or will affect the world of architecture. Is it just starting? Has it reached its end? Is it about these drawings, images, plans, 3D models it creates on its own? What exactly does it do? And what is the role of architects from now on? So just checking out this graph, pretty simple graph, so we see more or less where we are. As you can see, well, we are here. This curve depicts the evolution of artificial intelligence. 2022 has been a great year, has been absolutely outstanding, a complete breakthrough in the research of artificial intelligence, but this is just started, okay? And this is why we believe this course is very important. We need to grab to the opportunity of understanding it, learning about it, and using it as soon as possible. Otherwise, if we do so further on, it's going to be much more complicated. So to answer the question, what is our role going to be from now on? Well, we are not going to lose our jobs. We have more work than ever, and part of it is being aware of everything that's going on. We have to be on top and try to understand as much as possible all the advantages it is going to grant. In this first video of the series, we are going to give you a general vision of what it is and how it works, artificial intelligence, and how to start to work with it in order to create architecture, which is our jobs basically. But to start, it's important to begin from the very basics, and we have put together a number of applications within 3 different areas of artificial intelligence. The first one here is AI art. These applications are related to creative or artistic creations of images, creations of photographs, and they are based on a prompt. A prompt is a text you write in which you tell the program what you want it to create. It can be something quite simple. You can say, I want a round house, for example, and the program will create a round house. But it can also get quite complex as well. You can enter a text with a lot of specific information, and it will elaborate whatever it is you're describing in the prompt. So again, this is quite remarkable today. Probably in 2 or 3 years' time, it will improve even more. We're going to focus on these ones: Midjourney, Dall-E, Night Cafe, but probably Midjourney is the one that is more complete at the moment and more useful for us architects. So when it comes to realism of the images, when it comes to understanding abstract concepts and creating abstract images, original images, it's absolutely fascinating. It also is very good in regards to how it comprehends your input to the program, and how it fashions these images from your descriptions. So this is the one we're gonna focus on. But again, you've got a number of them that work really well and can be very useful. Dall-E is another one. Also with prompts, you can make it create very original images, completely new. Night Cafe. Well, all of these are quite interesting. You can check them out on their website if you're more interested. And then you have this one, Verus. It's a plugin linked to Revit, a program which is probably more familiar with you. It basically, through a prompt, it designs a building in Revit. So you could say, I want a museum made of wood, and it'll design it for you. There's more and more of these softwares that are connected to programs such as Revit or SketchUp or Rhino. So yes, it's going to be something to be aware of in the near future. Another area which is very interesting as well is the chatbot. The artificial intelligence for chatbots. So what is this? Well, it's basically, as its name suggests, a chat with a bot. You enter a question. A question can be also linked to your field of expertise. It can be linked to architecture. You could ask the bot a question such as, what are the best universities to study architecture in? And it will come up with an argumented answer to the question. You can ask something as simple as that, and you can ask the software to elaborate, to give more information. So, for example, when you enter a question in Google, or when you enter a question, any search into any search engine, it'll come up with a lot of websites. It'll come up with a lot of blogs. But with these chatbots, you can you can go deep into the knowledge they have to try to extract as much information as possible, which is many times very specific. So in this case, for example, you are asking it to develop a building and give you the stages of the project, and it searches in all of its, well, the library, the content, and it creates these stages of the project. Afterwards, you could ask it to develop more, or you can ask questions about what it has suggested to you. And it is actually quite fascinating to see the level of detail and accuracy with which it answers these questions. Many occasions we have at the studio examined and tested the applications, and it comes up with very good answers to very technical and very complex, difficult questions. So it is definitely an application. For these applications are definitely will have a lot of potential, and today have a lot of use in the world of architecture. And finally, we have this area, design, that has several applications that are also very interesting and more specific to architecture. And what they do, Finch 3D or Architectures, for example, is you give them some, like a surface. In this case, it's a floor plan, and they will generate the spaces you command them to generate from the surface that you create. So once you have that surface, you can change your surface, and the artificial intelligence will change the interior spaces so it adjusts to whatever your commands are. It's absolutely incredible. Anyway, in this section, design may be more related to later stages of the project. We are going to focus on Midjourney in this course, which is probably has more to do with the beginning, thinking about ideas, thinking about brainstorming and so forth at the early stages of a project. These other applications, Finch, Maquette, architectures, and interior AI, have more to do with the later stages, maybe, well, yes, the designs, the final designs themselves. This application, interior AI, is also quite interesting, very different to the one we've seen. You just give it, through a prompt as well, instructions for in an interior photograph. You upload an interior photograph and you tell it to decorate the image. For example, you wanted like a Hawaiian look, so maybe you give it some more conditions, some more characteristics. So you want some plants, and you want it to be colorful, and you want it to look Hawaiian. Well, it will generate an image based on the image you upload that respects those terms, basically. So there we are. So we're going to focus on the AI art, the one that is more related to those early stages, as we have just said. Anyway, so how does it work? We are going to focus on AI art, this area. We're going to focus on Midjourney, but softwares in this area work in very similar ways. And apart from interesting, they are also useful. It's also useful to know more or less how they work. For when you are working on your computers, you know what's going on in order to make decisions. So the system is called GAN. It stands for Generative Adversarial Networks. Okay, and it starts off with a database. Here it says training set, and it uses something called a discriminator, which we can call a policeman. Nice and friendly way of understanding what's going on. The policeman is going to decide who can go through and who cannot, and then a generator. We can call it the thief or the criminal, and well, the thief or the criminal will try to fool the policeman. So with this database, the program is trained to understand that whatever the database has to offer is real. So it's going to go through, it's going to go past the policeman, it's going to fool the policeman, if you want to call it that way. Let's imagine we're talking about flowers. Let's imagine we want to create images of flowers. Well, we start off with this database filled with flowers that we as human beings acknowledge to be real. So the generator is going to create from random noise, from absolute random images, or just noise, as it says there in the slide. It's going to create these images that are going to try to fool the police. The policeman knows what a flower is, and obviously it's going to decide some are fake, some are real. As the generator generates more and more flowers, it's going to, that random noise is going to become well, flowers we would acknowledge as real. This is called machine learning, right? So as the program advances, it's going to improve and improve on its on the way it works. Well, so basically that's it. The generator works, trying to create these images from your instructions. Okay, you are going to give these instructions, and as the police identifies the ones that are fake, based on the database, it will improve these, in this case, the flowers it generates. Well, this is a simplified explanation of more or less how this works, how this GAN systems work. You could use it for any kind of image. You could do cars, you could do furniture, whatever you like. Okay, but as you can imagine, the database, this what says training set, is absolutely paramount. The starting point of it all is the images with which it starts, so that this random noise can eventually generate something that is similar to what we have in our database. Anyway, so the database is extracted from a Lion 5B or Leon 5B. Also, as a very simple explanation, this could be compared to what Google does. So if you type anything on the search engine of Google, you would have more or less the same images, right? Well, but this is a bit more complex, and it's also interesting that for example, for the word tree, all of these images of trees, you've got millions of them, are attached to a description, like a definition. They are labeled. There are keywords that define the kind of tree that is depicted in that specific image. So basically what the program will do is use all of these images to extract what the essence of a tree is, and all of these descriptions, all of these words are going to are going to help you generate a more specific image of what you're looking for. And that is why it's important for you to understand the kinds of images that you're eventually going to have from the text you enter in the prompt. So, for example, for something you want to generate, maybe not as simple as a tree, maybe a stranger concept, a more complicated concept, using this search engine, you would be able to type whatever it is here, so you see more or less what images appear after you enter whatever it is you enter. Because if you are entering these writing these weird concepts, Midjourney may mess up everything if what you're thinking of is not attached to the database with which you're working, which is this one. So as the database grows and it becomes more, there's more images and there's more descriptions, Midjourney will improve on its expertise of whatever the topic is. So as you add more and more images and more descriptions to these trees, Midjourney will create more specific, will generate these images in a more specific way to what you want them to be. Okay, I suppose that in the future these databases will be far bigger. Okay, so we'll have millions more images to work with. So these programs will improve much more. So anyway, as you can imagine, Midjourney is not only going to be an expert on trees, it's going to be an expert on cars, boats, buildings, technology, almost everything. And it's also going to be an expert on how we relate these descriptions to the images. And as the database increases and there are more descriptions, it's going to understand what we expect to see when we type these descriptions in the prompt. So here you have some examples of Midjourney created images in which it relates, in this case, an artistic style to something that you have wanted it to come up with. You've got constructivism, you've got minimalist images, you've got futurism, everything you can see here, which takes us to the aim of the course. What is it that we're going to be learning here? Well, you can imagine that if we have a program that can come up with almost anything via a prompt, via like a space in which you can type out whatever you like, well, anything can happen. As I said before, the people who know how to search on Google best are going to be the ones who find better information. Here you've got more architectural styles, Expressionism, Art Nouveau, megastructures. Is going to learn, again, it's going to learn what we expect to see when we type Bauhaus. You get millions of buildings from that era. We've got millions of images from different architects. So it's going to learn about architectural styles, it's going to learn about artistic styles, it's going to learn about history, and here you've got David Chipperfield. It's going to understand the style David Chipperfield applies, it's going to understand the magnitude of its buildings, it's going to understand the kinds of materials it's going to use, it's going to understand how architects relate these buildings to the city. Anyway, millions of things. Everything we think of is going to be in some way in the program, within the program. Here you have, for example, what does the program understand by an architectural render? What it understands by an architectural drawing? What it understands by watercolor? Anyway, all of these images. So what we're going to try to learn is we're going to try to tame the program. Let's imagine that this program is a horse and it can do wonderful things. It can jump high, it can go really quickly. Anyway, it's a wonderful horse, but we need to learn how to control. We need to learn how to tame the horse so it goes in the direction we want it to go. So if you have a horse that does whatever it likes, you're not going to get anywhere. The same happens with Midjourney. You may introduce in the prompt descriptions that end up with wonderful images, for example this one, or renders, but it's not exactly what you wanted it to be. So here we have floor plans, we've got crossed sections, we've got elevations, we've got montage, we've got all sorts of different images that are related to our architecture. Some of them are related to our architecture, and many people have come to us and said, well, the program has actually learned your style. Well, of course it has. We have tried to use the program so it's aligned to what we wanted to come up with, right? So this takes us back to the initial question we asked. What is artificial intelligence going to do for us? Is it going to be a substitute? Well, the answer is not for now. Not for now, because we still can use this to benefit from all its advantages, and to generate images and spaces that are even more original if we learn how to use it well. So if you think of it, we are lucky to be in such a creative profession, a profession that can evolve so much thanks to new tools, new technologies. And when you study how architects have evolved throughout history, you understand that as technology has evolved, it has in a way substituted architects, and architects have had to reinvent themselves in order to be relevant. So this is just another one of those tools that is going to be a turning point in what our profession is, and that we can decide either to be left behind with the tools we had before, or to hold on, to grab the opportunity and make the most of it in order to improve as architects and designers of spaces. Maybe sometime in the future, this or these programs will replace us entirely. It's not crazy to think that a program will be able to understand construction regulations or materials, knowing exactly what materials to use, knowing exactly how to create a sustainable building, and also attend to the subtleties some clients may be requesting. It is possible, but for now, we still have a fair number of years ahead in which we can use these technologies to improve our businesses and our projects, and also fulfill ourselves as architects. So anyway, if we go back to the graph we saw, maybe this, when this becomes even harder to understand or even harder to use, it'll be too late. But now that we're here, we still have these years ahead, which we can't lose. It's going to be definitely a challenge for universities, for students, anyone who is now entering the world of architecture. I don't know how universities are going to go about these new technologies, but they certainly should. But for us is a must. Okay, I myself witnessed the change from the paper format to the CAD format. I remember my first couple of years, some students handed in their projects on paper after having drawn it by hand. Other students started using CAD. It was the tendency then was to say that in order to draft plans properly in CAD, you did need to learn, and it took a long time, and a lot of students failed to go ahead and start learning, and they soon found out that you did have to learn. And recently we have lived the transition from CAD to BIM, and it's also been a significant change. So this is just another one. Okay, now we are going to configure Midjourney in our computers, and I am going to help you step by step with exactly what you need to do. The first thing you have to do is to open up a Google. If you already have a user on Midjourney, well, it's not necessary to follow this part of the video. You can go ahead. But if you don't have, well, follow me. So here in Google, just look for Midjourney. So you type it out, and the first link that appears, you click on it, and you'll have this. You can click here on sign in. Again, if you have a username, that's fine. If not, you need to register. Here in register, So you register, and here of course your email or whichever email you would like to use. I'm saying info@esoarc.com. Any username, the one you use, and your password as always. Here your date of birth, and you have to click on this box. Of course, you've read the conditions. Click on here, and you have to complete this CapChat thing. Classic, flowers, sunflowers. There we go. Okay, now it's verified, and now you have to click on this button and you will receive email in which you will have to confirm. Classic confirmation email where you have to verify that it is you who's signing up. Okay, once you have verified your user, you have to open another window here and type Discord. And first link, Discord. For those of you who don't know, Discord is a website, it's like a chat, where there are certain communities, gamers, people involved in education, where they upload their information, they share knowledge on different fields. And if you think of it, well, this is what we are going to do with Midjourney, right? We are going to ask it to do things, and it's going to give us back information. That's what that's what the program is about. So you are given two options. You can either download for Windows here on the left. If you can do that if you like. I do recommend it. Or you can open it on your browser directly if you just want to check it out, get familiar with it before you actually download it. You can do that here. So I'm going to click on this one for now, and it directly takes me to my users page. If you don't have a profile, of course you've got to configure it. So you basically need to have a user here and on Midjourney, and you're going to click here where it says explore public servers, and what we're doing now is we are looking for the Midjourney bot, which is the bot that we're going to be chatting with basically. So you click here, and once you're in, there's a number of things you have to do. Here where it says join Midjourney, click there. You've got like a preview here, so you can see things, but you're not going to be allowed to do anything if you don't join. So you click, and well, you'll have to solve these CapChats. Mountains, click on the mountains, and verify, and wait for it to allow us in. And great. So once we're in, well, the first thing you have to take into account, or the first thing you have to check out, is this here on the left. You have like a number of chats, general information, announcements, recent changes, status, frequently asked questions. These are very important, okay, and we will go through them on next lessons. As you can imagine, there are a lot of changes, a lot of new things going on. It's a very recent program. It has a bit more than 1 year, so you have to be on top. You have to be on top of, you know, the latest news, latest updates, changes that the program has, and a lot of people are sharing their information here. And it's important that you follow these, okay? As I said, you'll have to. We'll check them out on the next lessons. Here you've got more specific information about the program, discussion, philosophy. You can read it here. Very specific doubts, questions you may have. Okay. But to start, we are going to go for the one that says newbies, because we are newbies, and we're going to go for this one, the one that says newbies 115. Okay, and you're going to click here, okay, and once you're here, you will see that this is the chat where we are going to be communicating with our bot, okay, and it is a shared chat, so everyone, there's more people here. No problem with this, we can share for now. We'll just have to see what everybody else does, and everyone else will see what we are doing. We'll just ignore what we don't like, and well, we can even participate with what we do like. But it is interesting to see what everybody else is doing, in order also to learn how the program works, because you can appreciate what the program does after the instructions other people have given. This is the free version, okay? It's a public chat. If you want to pay, well, you will have a private, your own chat in which you won't be sharing. Anyway, so here we've got the text in which we enter, we start typing our instructions, and Midjourney will start working for us. So, for example, we could type whatever, for example, so a slash and image and the word house, for example. This is what's going to appear. So you have to accept here, accept toss. And now you can start to work with Midjourney. And as I said, this is a trial version. You can start working for now. Don't pay for now if you don't want. Use the free version as much as you can, but just so you bear in mind, the free version allows you to transform an image up to 25 times, which you will soon see it's very few times. You need in order to make the most of this program, it is important that you pay for the premium version. And it's about $30 a month, and I believe it's completely worth it. Bear in mind, it's like having Photoshop, AutoCAD, Reno, SketchUp, everything together in the same program. So after a couple of months, if you're not completely convinced, well, of course, don't pay. But I would totally go for it, and I'm sure you will eventually, because the program offers unlimited resources, really. I'm sure it's a decision you'll take on your own. Anyway, so let's start. So we're going to start programming. Let's call it that way. If it's programming, let's program it, or giving instructions to Midjourney. Okay, so we're going to start with a slash and imagine. Type out imagine, and this appears, and here is where we are going to give the instructions. We're going to start with something nice and easy, as we did before. For example, just the word house. Let's see what it does. Let's see what it comes up with. Houses, well, buildings is what we do as architects, so might as well start with something basic. We will develop our ideas, okay? So house, and you press enter. And remember, this is a shared chat, so we're going to have constant messages coming up. It is quite confusing many times, it's quite annoying, but you'll get the hang of it. So there's constant messages and images appearing all the time, and this is ours. Okay, it's generating now. Midjourney is like creating the model. So there's 62%. And we will see soon it gives us 4 versions of what we have asked it to do. And suddenly it disappears. Don't worry about it. If it seems as though, well, if it's disappeared, that means it's finished, and it's somewhere here at the bottom. So this is our image. This is what we have asked Midjourney to do. Well, it's used its criteria, and in further lessons we will learn how to develop its ideas. This is what we have. So now you could decide which one it is you like. As you can see, the 4 are quite similar, but they're also different in many ways. And you can start working with the 4 of them, or with whichever you prefer. And the first thing you will notice is these 1, 2, 3, 4. And well, you can imagine that these numbers correspond to this image. This would be number 1, this would be number 2, this would be number 3, and this would be number 4. So the letter U stands for upgrade. So if you want more definition, if you want to see it better, for example, I like this 3rd one. So if I click on upgrade, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I want to upgrade the 3rd house. It's the one I like. Midjourney now will work exclusively on that house. I'll have to give it some minutes for it to work, and it'll come up soon. We will talk more about this in future lessons to make the most of the program. Starting off with the word house is a bit pointless, really, but it's important that you see how the thing works, like the basic mechanics. These V's stand for variants. So if you want, so basically it's given you 4 different versions for one instruction. Okay, and if you want the program to work on a variant, another version, so I want the program to get this image and come up with another 4 images based on the one it's created. So of course you want for variant 1, variant of the image 1, variant of the image 2, you can work on that as well. And this button here is to re-roll. So it's basically let's take this and work a bit more, develop these ideas. So it's going to develop these houses and create 4 new ones from the originals. So if we go down, you can even change, so it's a shared chat, so you can also work on the images other people are creating, so you can click on theirs if you like. Remember that if you have the paid version, it won't be as confusing and annoying. It will be private. So this is the first upgrade of the house it came up with originally. And if you click here and open in browser, well, now if I were happy with this image, I could take it onto Photoshop and start, a workflow editing, as we have seen in other courses, the presentation of projects and so forth. We could work on this image to impress our clients, but well, of course, this is not something we're going to work with. The whole idea is to try and get Midjourney to do exactly what we want it to do. So these are the variants. So these are the different versions it's come up with after we clicked on V3. So remember, upgrade is like giving definition, and these variants are, well, you've got different shapes, sizes, windows, location. You've got more stones on the sand. There's different. So I can carry on working on these ones. So I can upgrade the versions, or I can even create more versions from the same version. Okay, so this is the basic mechanics of the program. Basically, variant, upgrade, and evolving, developing the image, and hopefully eventually ending up with an image that is similar to what we are looking for. So here you click on upgrade 3, and you would carry on like this. Or you can re-roll every now and then and see what happens with the upgrades and with the variants and so forth. That is the basic way of working of the program, but there are a number of things you can do in this free version. So I would like you to come here and type settings, because it's going to offer a number of options. Okay, this is what has to appear. Okay, when you slash settings, and you've got to select some of these options. MJ version 4 stands for Midjourney version 4. It's the latest. Probably more will come up in the near future, but for now we're going to stick to this one, which is the latest. And then you've got quality, half quality, you can say base quality, and you can have high quality. You cannot go for many of these options if you don't have the paid version. So we're going to stick to the base quality for now. We will talk in more detail about these options. And then you've got style. Style basically is the level of detail you want the image to get to. So for example, in the example we saw before, the house, if you click here in style low, it's not gonna try to give you a lot of details, maybe with the windows, with the frames, with the tiles, with bricks, materials and so forth. Whereas here in style very high is going to try and come up with all these details in the context of architecture. Well, materials, context, urban context, general detail. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't know what to do when you make it come up with a lot of detail. It gets confused. Then you've got the upscales. We're going to leave it there in regular scale. And then you've got these public mode. You cannot go to stealth mode. Stealth mode obviously is hiding from the rest. As you have seen, we are able to see what everybody else is doing, which maybe some won't like. In my case, I'm not bothered right now about this, but maybe I wouldn't like other people to see my designs. Okay, and I want you to click here in the remix mode. Remix mode, we're going to see how it works now, but it's basically going to let you develop your prompts after a command has been made. So let's start adding a bit more information to our commands. So imagine here in prompt. We're going to go in order of importance here. We want an architectural drawing. So right now, Midjourney knows it wants a drawing, which is not the same as a plan or other things. And I want it to take into account David Chipperfield, the architect, and I want it to be like a museum. So again, the order here is important. I want a drawing, David Chipperfield, and I want it to be a museum. Now I can be a bit more specific. So I could say windows, facade, or maybe a staircase. I'm going to type stairs, so it's nice and easy for now too. So we're drawing David Copperfield museum, stairs, and I think it's important to have cenital light. And maybe to finish off, you can add something else, such as maybe the definition, 16K and high quality, or a lot of detail. I'm just going to type highly detailed. Okay, so this is our prompt. As you can see, a bit more information than just house. So it's going to be, much more similar to a specific image. Maybe I can give it even more detail here. Wood stairs. Okay, this is quite basic. This is still quite basic. Just so you know, you can give much more information to the program. You can ask it to do a photograph, or to create an image more similar to a photograph, or to a 3D model from an architectural software or program, a plan. There's a lot of things, a lot of details you can add to the details of the drawing and to how the drawing or the image is created. In this case, we have selected drawing, and we expect something, whatever comes, to look like a drawing. So we click here, we press enter. Okay, so we have the fast mode now, and it should take no more than 30 seconds to create. Okay, and here it is. So we've got our prompt, drawing, David Chipperfield Museum, the stairs, the light, and highly detailed. So here we have 4 of them, and now we can choose to work on 1, 2, 3, or 4. And have maybe this 4th one is the most interesting. There's a lot of space, to be. So I'm going to click here in U4 to upgrade the image. and I'm going to click here on V4. And remember, we clicked here on V4 before and it started to work, but now we're going to have this pop-up window, which is the remix prompt, which we selected before when we edited the settings. And so starting from this image, we are going to change, the prompt. So I'm going to erase this architectural drawing and I'm just going to say render. So, in all the types of documentation you need to provide, okay, maybe a 3D model, a render, and maybe architectural photography. So we want it to look more like a photography, and so like a render, like a 3D model. Okay, so the great advantage of this is that it's going to work directly from an image. So its starting point is this image. So if you squint, what Midjourney is going to do, if you squint, you're more or less going to appreciate the spaces more, the shadows, the light, like the essence of the drawing, and Midjourney is going to take that and work from that. So it's going to respect the space, the essence of what it's drawn. Here it's in green because it's with the remix version. Those stairs, that's the upgrade. As you can see, I mean, it is a credible drawing, right? So we're looking for something which is very similar to this in terms of the essence, like the space, the light, and here it is. But instead of, well, you can see the wood better, and those contrasts with lights and shadows, you can probably see that it has respected that, what we talked about before, that, or like the principles of the space it created before. So in this case, I think I'm going to go for this one, image number 2. I like the lights, I understand the space, I like the wooden part of it, but I'm going to click here, new to, because I still haven't found what I'm looking for. That was a joke. Here it is. Once we upgrade this image, again, we could start to work on it. But as you can see, well, it's a pretty decent photography / model, 3D model render. It respects, if you know David Chipperfield, those like purity in the lines, purity in geometry. So once I have this, well, there's also, I can carry on working. So I could, if I wanted, make more variations, and it would direct me again to the remix prompt, which I could change. And maybe, for example, this David Chipperfield, I could change the architect and have the same version of these stairs by a different architect. You can try if you like. I'm not going to do it now, but you can see what it would do. I want you to see other options. For example, this light upscale redo. Okay, so it creates an image and sort of adds moderate amounts of details and textures. Okay, it's useful for faces and smooth surfaces. You may lose information. You'll see what happens now, but it's interesting that you see. and then you've got the beta upscale redo, which doesn't add many additional details, but it's also useful for smooth faces, smooth surfaces. So it's going to like create effects on these surfaces. Because we have smooth surfaces here, there's going to be a bit of a change. So here it says light, so we see, make sure you see, and as you can see, it's changed the surfaces of the drawing, but it's lost a bit. It gets confused many times, the artificial intelligence, with what it is that is exactly drawing. So you can see the details here. The perspective is not working too well, and obviously these stairs. So we've worked with the surfaces, but not too much on the space itself. Sometimes it's, well, as you, in this case, it's not too much of an upgrade, but if you are working on the earlier stages of your project, if you are on like the architect's crazy mode and you want to trying to develop images of ideas and so forth, this is going to be a very good option. And then we have to check out the beta upscale. This is the one. As you can see, it's also worked with the surfaces. Let's change the surfaces for smooth faces and surfaces, okay? So these two versions don't add quality to the architecture itself. It's like they function more or less like a filter. They work with these surfaces. It's like an effect, but it's also interesting again to check out. So now I would like you to get out there, okay, and start just creating your own prompts, trying to guess what the software is going to do, trying to understand how it works. Do it with a couple of prompts, or 3 or 4, as many as you like, but it is important that you get familiar with the program. So if the more you use it, the more similar the image in your head will be to the image that eventually comes out. What I would like you to do is to go ahead and try to create more accurate, more precise architecture. Try to use this program to develop, to fashion documents that are good enough for a client. Okay, so this is part of what we were talking about before, the horse, and trying to tame the horse, making sure it goes your way. I'm going to do an example now, but I think it will be great that you maybe think of an image you have in your head, an architectural plan, a section, elevation, a 3D model, a render, anything, maybe a watercolor drawing, maybe a more like an oil-like canvas, I don't know, whatever it is you're thinking would impress, or however you normally work, and try to make the program do it. Bear in mind, this program is not for architects, it's for anyone really. It's for anyone who creates any kind of original content, photographers, anyone. So it is quite difficult to, well, not difficult, but you need some time to get the hang of it, to know exactly, to make the program do exactly what you want it to do. Anyway, so having said this, I'm going to create my own first image, as I said, a bit more precise, a bit more architectural, and I'm going to start here in the prompt. Remember slash and imagine, architectural, sorry, imagine, and prompt. And here I always like to start telling the program, remember, the order is important. It's going to give more importance to the first words. I always start with something very architectural, for example, the word architectural, so the program knows I'm looking for something architectural. So in this case, I'm going to go for a collage, and I want section, and maybe I want a house, like a villa by the sea, but I want a section with a perspective. I'm just throwing in words now, okay? So I'm thinking of a house by the sea, section maybe like that evolves, that the house grows from a fractal, for example. So you're gonna have the same shapes, you know, developing, and I want it to be white. And I'm gonna write the word villa as opposed to house, because villa is probably, you know, I'm thinking of, you know, something more similar to a villa. And as I said, I want it on the edge. I didn't say on the edge of a cliff, I said by the sea. But anyway, on the edge of a cliff. I don't know what you are imagining right now. If you're following this, I would like you to, you know, use your own prompts. But, you know, we probably have something similar in our heads right now. Maybe there's other things I could add to make it a bit more complex for the program. Just maybe to add some mystery or to add a bit of character to the image. I could say, well, I have said it's a collage, so remember, and the section too. Remember, you can go for watercolor, elevation. Maybe I'm going to say I'm going to go for, you know, detailing on the looks of the surroundings of the house, because before, as you can imagine, as you remember, I just said house, and what was around the house was not exactly what I wanted, what I was thinking of. So if I specify here, you know, where I want it to be, say big windows that give onto a prairie. I'm going to add the word landscape so it knows I'm talking about the landscape here. Otherwise we may have like a prairie looking house. But anyway, it's we don't know for now, right? And then I'm going to be very specific. Going to write a description of what's immediately by the house. I want some paths, and I'm going to make it work because I want to see the horizon. Hopefully it will give me the horizon with the sea, but horizon on the background, and I'm going to say foggy just to add a bit of mystery to it. Foggy sunrise. And remember what we did in the other prompt. You can say things such as awarded architectural drawing. So it will go through drawings that have been awarded, will have some kind of award, and I'm going to say a bit of information on the image itself. 16K, highly detailed. I could add more here, field of view, so to play around with perspective, but just for now maybe this is okay. So I click here and enter, and again I wait for the mandatory 30 seconds, and well, this is what's a hassle. Finally, here it is. Okay, maybe I'm losing a bit of context, but these images are more or less what I was looking for, more or less. I'm not completely convinced with any of them, but you see the horizon in some, you see that fractal I was looking for, so it's this idea of this geometry evolving. You've got the big windows. So what I do, I click here a couple of times and I create, instead of 4, 12, because you never know what's going to happen like in the first attempt. So these are okay, but if you make it do it again, you may end up with better results, or not better, but something which is more alike to what you were thinking of. Here we have these. Actually, I prefer these. I don't like, this one is great, but I don't like those clouds. This one is also great. I like the paths, how they end in the house. Then you've got the, yeah, you've got the prairie there. Here they are. Okay, these are the other ones. This one is quite interesting. I think I can use almost any of these. It's turned out to be quite good, but I think I'm going to go for this one, this first one in this set of images. I like the space, how it's represented. So I'm going to click here on V1. Remix, and using my original prompt, I am going to add information. So for example, maybe before foggy sunrise, I'm going to say cozy light. I want some coziness to it, and where it says big windows, which is like the structure, like the more construction bit of the prompt, I'm going to say parametric structure, just so the program understands that this geometry is important for me. As you can see, I may have made spelling mistakes, but this works more or less like Google, okay? So it's going to identify what you want. So if you write cozy with a Z or an S, or like the American or English, or if you misspell any words, it's going to understand. Okay, maybe I'm going to add material. I do actually like the tones of whites, but if I add wood or concrete, it's gonna come out even better. Concrete. Brilliant. So it's the same prompt, but you've got this element of coziness, parametric structure. Anyway, more information. See what happens. And it's with this one. So you can work at the same time with more than one image. So for example, I'm checking out this one, number 3 in this set of images, and I'm actually regretting not having done anything with it. So you can copy your prompt. These are also quite good, but anyway, you can copy the prompt and paste it in another remix. Okay, this is the one. This last one I think is very good. It's starting to be a thing, right? So here it is. I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to upgrade the number 4, which I liked. Multitasking is important, and if you are able to make the program work in a number of things at the same time, you are going to get a lot done. So right now it's working on the upgrade of an image I liked, but I don't want to leave behind other opportunities it has granted. So also it increases the chances of having, you know, a last image which is suitable for my purpose. Here it is. So here, this one, number 3, remember, I'm going to click here, V3, and I'm going to paste the other prompt. You can add other things, but we don't know how the new descriptions are going to affect. You can, if you like, cancel job if you're not happy or you regret any descriptions you have added there. You might think, well, why would I do that? But when you have the paid version, you pay by time rendering. So for every hour you've made the machine work, you are going to be paying an amount. So it's something to consider when you are paying. Okay, so this is not this. This one is the upgraded version of the first version where I changed the prompt in the remix. And there's a number, obviously there's a lot of things I would change here in Photoshop. For example, you know, all these, you know, like funny looking structures under the rock. But, you know, there's a lot of things there that are very interesting, these spaces. Here, with the cozy light, maybe it has gone a bit over the top, especially in there in the first one. I'm not very happy. Sometimes what may occur is that you don't like variations, you don't like your upgrades, and you reach a dead end. Well, this happens a lot, so that is why you have to make sure, and that's why I told you to do as, you know, re-rolls, because I mean, if you're not completely convinced with the first images, it's very hard to make the program reach the point you want it to reach. So if after a couple of transformations you're nowhere near, start from the beginning, you've reached the dead end. So in this case, this second set of photographs, okay, I'm going to make variations again. I could add or take away things from here. Just remember that it is going to respect the essence, okay? The essence of the image is going to be there. So in this case, for example, well, you've got like a big rock where the house stands, that is going to be there. You've got these volumes, the main volumes also are going to be respected. The glass facade from which the building emerges, okay, and probably the clouds at the back. Okay, so I'm going to add something maybe to make it a bit more radical, to change the image a lot. And in this case, for example, Zaha Hadid, the name of an architect, which is very characteristic. Her architecture is very characteristic. If you know her architecture, you'll know that, you know, it's always more or less, I'm not going to say the same, it's not the same, but the forms of it are going to be very easy for the program to understand. So anytime you add the name of an architect, think of how the program, how the database is going to affect. So the program is going to take the photographs from the images from the database, and if it's like a very characteristic architect, for example, Calatrava or Sita, the Portuguese architect, which have more or less the same colors or forms, etc., is going to be very useful for the program to know what you're looking for. Whereas, for example, I don't know, Foster, for instance, Foster I'm not saying it's not as characteristic as something negative, but if you imagine, if you want to compare it with Google, if you do a Google search on Foster, you're going to have like a wider range of images, and what we could do a Google now. So I mean, Google and Lion, the database Midjourney use, are not exactly the same, but you can have an idea of what would appear using these words. So I mean, for example, here we open a quick Google and you say Norman Foster. I'm going to say architecture, just so his face doesn't appear. And if you go here to images, there's like a wider range of shapes, colors. Maybe it would go for something organic, probably, given these images. But if you go for Zaha Hadid, well, you've got these more characteristic designs, right? So you're giving the program, just by adding the name of an architect, useful information. I'm not saying that typing the word Foster is not useful information, but it's going to be easier for the program to understand. Anyway, let's look for our results. Okay, you can add whatever architect you like. Here it is, and well, you understand, right? So as I said, as we have mentioned, the essence of the building is still there. We've got the rock, we've got those volumes, we've got the facade, we've got the clouds at the back, and well, there are some things I like. I do like these results, but there are some things I don't like. I like this one, the number 3. So I'm going to click here in V3, and I'm going to show you something else. Maybe just give you like more advanced information we will be going through on the course later on. But for example, if I want to put emphasis on a word, on a description, I can, instead of just writing the word, so I want something organic, I can go for colon and a number 3. It's going to sort of emphasize on this word. Okay, program is now going to understand that this is important to me. Submit. Okay, so it may blend in the rock with the building. We'll see what happens. And I can also take away descriptions. Something I'm not very convinced with, which is this cozy light. I think I'm going to get rid of it. And well, yes. And write this again. Okay, so any word, 3 colons and then a number. It can go up to number 5. You're putting emphasis, you are giving importance to that word. Okay, we're going to do more exercises with more characteristics, more descriptions, what exactly it is we have to write here. Okay, so submit, and again wait for our variation. And here we have an example. Here you have it. Maybe it's a bit over the top, but there are some interesting spaces, right? There is architecture here. It's more or less what I was looking for. But yes, it's maybe Zaha Hadid and organic ×3 is a bit dramatic, but you see that the program has responded. Also, the cozy light is gone. Okay, I'm gonna go for an upgrade on number 2. Cozy light is there. So let's see the other one. Here it is. This one's the one without the cozy light. This looks like a Dall-E painting. So you have to be convinced when, especially in the early stages of the creation of the image, you've got to be convinced at the very beginning. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to get your final image, to the point you want it to be. So I suggest you start off with as many first attempts as possible. Maybe, well, I said 12 today, you can do up to 20, 24. Here we're using, well, yes, sometimes over 20, because, well, it is important to start off with a proper first image, and also take into account that this is version 4 of Midjourney, and things may change depending on the version. For example, in version 3 you started from an image which you could more or less distort, and version 4 is completely different. So it is a technology that is very recent, and it's evolving very quickly, and well, a lot of things are changing. So what's important basically is that you try things out, you get to know the program, because, well, God knows, maybe in the next Midjourney, in the next version 5, 6, it will be completely different. The prompt will be more developed. Well, we don't know. Okay, so but I suggest that you work with this one for now, and you try to make as many variations and upgrades as possible, variation, upgrade, and so forth, until you more or less understand how this works. So, well, what I want you to do now is, you could use my prompt, or the prompt we've seen today, if you liked, but I suggest you think of your own description, and maybe do, well, as many transformations as you like, until you end up with an image that is something, well, original, creative, and adapted to whatever you like. So I would like you to hand in those photographs. You've got the PNGs that are created at the end of each upgrade or variation. You've got them here. These are the kinds of images I would be looking for, and I want to see that this part, this beginning of the Midjourney journey, is under control. So send me whatever you have, and I'll comment. I'll see if we can improve it in any way. And I think this one is the one I'm going to carry on with, number 1. So, well, if you copy my prompt, you are not going to have nowhere close to the images that you see here. It's going to come up with something completely different. So it will be interesting. So it's basically like clicking on this button with a reroll. That's why I'm insisting on it. Okay, so this one is the image I would take out. There's a lot of work, right, to do from this one, so I would take it to Photoshop, and we'll change things. Just like out of curiosity, just so you know, it's a lot of the process involves the own personality of the architect. So I mean, I think it's very useful to type in some architects. Me, myself, I'm not a great fan of the architecture of Zaha Hadid. Here at the studio, we're more David Chipperfield-like, but so you go with whatever you like. Maybe if you want to add something Gothic or Baroque, that's also something you would go for. But in the end, you've got to try to integrate your personality as an architect in the program. This would be the latest upgrade. So that will be the image, like the final image I would like you to hand in. I know it's like a very free exercise, but I would like you to be a bit strict with yourselves. Of course, have fun. As I tell you in other courses, you cannot be completely satisfied ever. So this one, U1, so I can click again if I have before. So I can click here. I lost it with so much speaking, I'm sorry. Okay, I think it's important to share what we've been learning, starting from the very basics. This is the one. Okay, so this is the one we would be working on. Okay, remember, obviously it's nowhere near a building or a real building, so I don't want you to hand in anything that's completely 100% real or realistic. Well, remember, there's a number of things here where I would change. I would take it out to Photoshop and maybe work with it for a while. But there are a lot of ideas, right, to consider from this image. No, we have that organic, the importance of that word. We also, remember we said collage. It is like a collage-like image. It is unique, it is architectural, and it follows more or less what I expected to be, right? So for this first exercise, well, we divided the prompt in 3, so it's good to start with a good description, like a nice long sentence. So there's a good starting point for Midjourney. Okay, it's a nice long sentence with as much detail as possible. Once you have written that, you've got another sentence in which you give more detail. Big windows, concrete, parametric structure, all of those things. You give more detail about the building, even the surroundings, foggy, sunrise, and so forth. And then finally, details about the kind of image you're looking for, talking about a lot of details. If it's like an award-winning piece or an award-winning image, so it's important. So maybe you divide that prompt in 3, and you say open here in browser, and this would be like the final image I'm looking for. I'm not expecting anything overwhelming, like something out of this world. I want you to have fun, try out as many variants as possible, upgrades and so forth. Don't work with useless images. Don't carry on working with an image you're not happy with, even if you like what's coming up, because it's not the objective of the course. Okay, the objective of the course is to tame the horse, as we have said so many times. And here I have reserved, just so you see, the kinds of things we can get to when this is the other version, premium version, and well, bear in mind that you can also download the application, so you can work on the browser or you can work on the application. We work here at the studio with the application, and I recommend it. Okay, here it says the moment you sign up, it's going to tell you Discord works better with this rather than the browser. Okay, here you've got a lot of new strategies, new methodologies in which we're going to blend in more than one image, together with another one. We're going to advance in terms of the extent of the architecture, the accuracy, the plan-like looking documents that we can. But as you can see, there's a lot of work, a lot of testing, and well, there is an evolution with which we are very happy, and we have ended up with very interesting and very convincing images, which in the end replace SketchUp, Photoshop, all of Reno, all of the most important softwares are replaced if there's full control of this program. Or maybe not just yet, but it is important to have it under control. Okay, so this first lesson video is over. I'll leave you here. Remember to write as many prompts as possible. Maybe download the application. Bear this in mind. Here we are not sharing a chat with anyone. This is our private space with Midjourney and the bot. Okay, so it facilitates the working very much. So if you want to consider getting the subscription and paying, that is something highly recommendable if you think you are going to be working with it in the future. Okay, and also the application. So as you can see, you've got everything. It's far easier to work. And yes, having the chat for your own enables you to multitask, to just click on variations over variations over variations, and great. So when you finish and you have like the last image for the image you're most happy with here in open browser, you click and right click and save image as. And I would like you to, for each lesson, just put them in the folder, and at the end of the course you can upload them to the platform and we will comment on them. So that's it for now. See you in future videos.